Making mistakes in Raid Shadow Legends can lose you your account, or at least your progress, and completely screw things up. And I've made a lot of mistakes when I started, so I wanted to share some of the biggest mistakes I've learned from. And if I were to start a new account, I'd definitely do things differently and probably be in a much better situation. The first of which is not using a starter link or a starter champion promo code. Now, if you didn't know, when you start your account, you have 24 hours to type in a code in the promo codes section, which is right here. If you don't type this in, you're going to miss out. And right now, you can get Sun Wukong with the code MONKEYKING or Supreme Garlic, a legendary void. You can also use my QR code or link in the description to get a nice start as well with 4 really good epic champions as you level up. Not using a starter link is gonna slow you down massively, and if you've just started the game, I'd really recommend starting again with a starter link. It will help you a lot. The next thing that I made a massive mistake on starting off was leveling up things straight to 16 or even like level 8 and level 12, and then realizing, oh, it's kind of not very good. I'll take you through some examples. I currently have 5 level 60 champions on my account, so you know, we're kind of growing bit by bit. But I went and upgraded Queen of Hearts gear, a relentless set, straight to 16. I even put a bunch of glyphs on it. And then turns out it's not really like the best set of gear anyway. I thought, oh, it's mythical. It's 6-star. This has got to be good. I didn't understand how it even worked. So what you need to do instead is, you know, get your item, whatever it may be. For example, let's say we're going to upgrade this 6-star chest plate. You take a look at the stats here. This has got HP percent, defense percent, critical damage percent, and a new bonus substat will unlock at level 16. Now, what you want to do is upgrade it in tiers of 4. Every time you upgrade it by 4 tiers, one of these stats will be rolled again. So for example, we're going to do it now. We got critical damage. So it rolled onto critical damage. So we're going to get more critical damage when we use this item, which is actually a really powerful stat. Now, we don't really want HP and defense too much unless we're putting it on like a support champion, right? So if we want this to build well, we're going to want it to roll massively into critical damage or defense and HP. So instead of just going straight up to 16 and wasting a lot of silver, because it costs a lot to do so, we're going to upgrade it bit by bit. Now we're going to go to level 8 and we're like, okay, what do we get? Oh, a defense. Now at this point, this kind of looks like not so good. I don't want to spread across all of these substats. I either want to go hard on defense percent and put it on a support champion, or go hard on critical damage percent and put it on a attack champion. So having this spread out like this is going to reduce the effectiveness of it. So in my opinion, it's worth selling this item now, right? We don't need it. I'll keep it for now because I'm sure I can find use for it. But if you want to get the best gear, you want to upgrade it bit by bit, right? For example, we've got these attack percent gloves here, all right? We don't really want attack percent on gloves. Critical rate's going to be better, but we might find a situation where we've got a lot of critical rate already, and this might be useful for a champion. So let's see if we can roll into critical rate here. And we get defense percent. So, all right, it might be good if we keep that for a support champion. But the trick is to roll it up in stacks of 4. So every time you do, you see which substat it rolls into. And if it ends up not being useful, typically if you're playing an attack champion, you're going to want to get critical damage percent, attack percent, accuracy, and speed, right? And if it's a support or health champion, you might want to go for things that roll into speed, defense, and HP percent. The next massive mistake I made is not focusing on faction wars. What I didn't realize was the first few missions of faction wars aren't that difficult to beat whatsoever. And what these first few missions are going to do is help you remember which champions to start leveling up. Because what I did was completely neglect this for a long time, and I'm going to lose out. I've lost out on a lot of materials that I could have used to create artifacts in the forge. And now I'm in a situation where, for example, if I go and do the lizard men crypt, which is open today, okay, I have a legendary, and then I have a bunch of level 1 lizard men. Like, I'm now going to have to go and spend the time to level these up so many days later into my account to even make progress on this crypt. Whereas really, at this point in my story of being a raid player, like if I go and show you my daily login rewards, I am already on almost day 60 at this point, and my faction crypt looked terrible. So I would say every day you log in, have a look at what faction crypt is open and see if you have any champions for that faction crypt. And even if they aren't great champions, try to build them up a little bit and put a bit of low-level gear onto them, just so that you have a head start when it comes to dealing with these faction crypts, because you only get 12 keys per crypt per day, and there's only 2 crypts open every day. So you really have to try and get this started as early as possible, or you're going to hit a bit of a bottleneck with your account, and you're going to be in a situation like me where I have a bunch of Magisteel from the arena, but I don't really have any good core materials, right, from Faction Wars. Another thing that's really important is not getting too focused on a specific event or tournament. Don't overcommit if you don't have the resources for it. And on top of that, if you plan to complete an event to get the best rewards, try and calculate how many gems it's going to cost you, how much silver it's going to cost you, or how many potions, whatever the resources may be. Work it out ahead of time and prepare. The best example was the Fabian Fusion event, which is now gone. Fabian is no longer here to fuse. I messed up. I thought I'm just going to go for it. Seems pretty easy if I just log in every day. I ended up having, I have got rid of some now, but if I type in born here, you needed 16 borns, right? Well, now I'm stuck with 8. I had 10. I had 10 borns, 6 away from completing the fusion event, but I messed up and it cost me. So make sure you know you have the right amount of resources before going into it. And usually there's good guides and calculators online to figure it all out. And I wish I did that before. I would have saved myself a lot of gems, a lot of silver, a lot of energy, and I wouldn't be in the situation where I'm sitting on 8 high stitcher pawns. I'm building one up just for the sake of it. I thought it'd be pretty funny. Yeah, he's an okay champion. He's not the worst, but we don't need 8 of him. Another thing is really important not to sell the wrong gear. Now, I watched one video where some person went like this. They were like, all right, I'm going to just equip everything and just go here and equip everything like that, and I'm going to just click select all and sell all of this stuff because we don't need anything below 5 and 6 stars. And whilst that is true to some extent, 5 and 6 stars are going to have the best stats. The higher star rating, the stronger the gear set will be. What I didn't realize was by doing that, I'm limiting myself. I now have very little items to equip equip all of my champions with. I have champions like this that I could use in the Lizardmen crypt that I now don't have much gear for. I have champions like this that I want to use for dungeons like Spider and Dragon that now have, pretty poor gear on because I sold most of it. All of my low tier gear that could have been put on other champions just to give them a bit of extra power to push through certain areas of the game, I no longer have, and now I've got to go and farm it again. So it's very important that whilst you should sell your gear and not hold on and hoard everything, make sure you're careful. I think, honestly, I wish I didn't sell my 4-star stuff. I wish I sold all my 1 to 2 star and 3 star, but not my 4-star. I wish I held on to that because I've got a big gear deficit. I need to go and farm a bunch of gear now because I just don't have enough to equip all my champions with to go and do the faction wars. And now what I have to do, if I want to do a faction wars, I'm going to need to unequip this, which is going to cost me a lot of silver. I'm going to have to keep changing my gear around, which costs so much silver to do. Made a really big mistake there, I must say. Another thing that a lot of people do is they feed champions, right, to build up their level 60s, and they just decide, right, I'm going to just get rid of all my commons and even feed my rares, right? Now, the thing is, there are some rares that are pretty good. I'll go through some. Renegade is a very good rare. War Maiden is a very good rare. Bellower's an alright rare. There are also some rares that are required for fusions. Just make sure you look online about your champion first if it's a rare before you fuse it. Like, for example, this one here, Houndspawn. It drops all the time in 12-3 campaign, so you can fuse this and not worry about it. You can feed it to other champs. It doesn't matter. You're going to get a bunch more. But if you fed a War Maiden, whilst it does drop in the campaign, you might not get as lucky to get it again. And if you were to feed this Renegade. Renegade is an amazing rare champion, one of the best rares in the game. If I didn't know that and I fed it, I would be kicking myself right now. So overall, let's go through these things again. My biggest mistakes were not using a starter link. That really slowed me down, and I actually had to make a new account so that I could get Monkey King. Leveling things straight up to 16 without being careful and making sure the rolls are actually worth it. Not focusing on faction wars early enough. That really slowed down my progress. Committing to events and tournaments that I don't know if I've got the resources for, that can really screw up your progress as well. Selling the wrong gear or selling too much gear. And finally, not holding on to the right rares. So hopefully you can take from this my mistakes and learn to just be a bit more prepared, because this game is all about holding on to the right resources and using them at the right time. And if you get rid of those resources, you're going to slow yourself down massively. So hopefully you found this video useful. Let me know if you did, and I'll see you in the comments.